Hey everybody, it's your girl Squeaks. I am by myself tonight, so I apologize if I screw up on any wording or anything, but we're going to have a good night. We are here with William and Kat Armstrong with Paranormal Exposures. Hey guys, how are you?
Good afternoon. It's finally nice to get to you.
Right?
Yeah, we're good. We just got done with an ice storm here in Iowa, so we're kind of enjoying the fact that it's not doing that. So.
Oh, it's all about windy and cold outside, so.
Right. We thought we were just about done. It just had melted, and then we got 5 more inches. So we were like, no. But so you guys are from Iowa then?
Yes.
Yes. What's your favorite part of being investigators and being in Iowa?
For me, there's just a lot of locations that we have that are known. I just, we have a really good network of places that are really close by. So that's kind of fun. Horridge House, Granger House, Edinburgh Manor, Malvern, Villisca. We've got a lot, World Cage. We got a lot of really cool locations here.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then you said that you work at, is it Edinburgh Manor? Did I say that right, or did I butcher it?
You say it like us Iowa people say it, not this guy.
Okay.
So, yes, I am a representative at Edinburgh Manor. I do check-ins and tours there pretty regularly. In fact, I was just there with some people yesterday. So even in the cold, people are braving the crazy weather. So.
Oh. And we were speaking behind the scenes a little bit about this. What has been the most interesting thing about working at Edinburgh?
So I think it's fun because it's different almost every time I go in there. I have been investigating the location for, we're coming up almost 8 years now. And I've been a guide or a representative there for 2 years now. And I still, with as many times that I've been there, it's a different experience every single time. It's not, I'm not going and, getting the same interactions. It's like they change it up every time. I have stories that are mine. I know people that have completely different experiences. There's just a lot to interact with there. So
I bet. William, have you had any experiences over there?
I've had a few, nothing really major, but it's some things, it's little things that really stand out to me as opposed to the big things, like the major things. Like this is, I'll give you 2 examples, and these are my best ones because they were kind of fun, because they weren't expected at the time. The first one was we were out there, just me and Kat, and I was running a spirit box, right? I was just walking about it like a day's thing. I was asking a few questions and, yada, yada. I wasn't expecting much. I get into one of the rooms on the women's ward on the first floor, which was room 105, and I sat on a drawer somewhere. And I looked outside the window, and it was like a horrible day. It was raining heavily, the wind was blowing, real murky day. And I had to say it loud, oh man, what a murky day it is out there. And I was kind of saying it out loud. I wasn't saying it in the hopes of a response or anything else. The way you just say something, just as you're saying it. And the spirit box is doing a thing, and it goes, and I turn around, and I'm not thinking at the time, I turn around and go, oh, I bet you guys know it's raining out there. I'm like, wait a minute, I just said we know. When I said it's murky outside,
Right.
That small thing is what sticks out to me at that location. And of course, I tried to ask a few more questions about the weather outside, and of course, I got nothing. But it was kind of nice that they validated that, hey, we know it's kind of raining outside because we can see it. Thanks for telling us,
Uh-huh.
That kind of thing.
Right. Awesome. We have a question here, and I'm not sure if we can answer this right now, but he says, I just happened to see this, and I have a huge paranormal issue with tons of evidence. Well, this is our paranormal podcast. If you want to send us some information to the Paracrew podcast at gmail.com, we can help you out more with that, or you can send it to our messenger as well, and we can help you out more with that as well, bud. And then we can probably get you on the show as well. So how long have you guys been a paranormal team?
In our current team under the name Paranormal Exposures, we're coming up on about a year and a half. We were part of another team and it broke off to do our own thing. We've got a whole variance of levels of experience. Some of our people are only a year and a half or newer in investigating. We have a lot of younger people in our group. William and I have been investigating together since 2012. That's actually when we went and did the Edinburgh Vaults together. We've done several locations together like that. I've been doing things since the 90s, just kind of wandering off to places on my own. I just dated myself. Like back when I was in high school. And I used to hang out at like Mars Hill and cemeteries and things like that. That was just a place where I got along well. But yeah, so we've got, the team itself under the current name has been about a year and a half, but we've got a whole range of experience under the crew. So,
well, that's cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought you had another question.
Sorry about that. It kind of lagged there for a second. Hi, Hi, Banshee. Nice to see you. So another question of mine is, how many are on your team?
Officially 8, and then we've got a lot of people that kind of are the bench players. If we were a baseball team, we've got like a whole big backup group of people. William and I are the founders of the team. We have my son Kyle, who also is an investigator. Our son Kyle, our daughter Aubrey. They both are investigators with the team. Aubrey just turned 18, so to give you an age range of how young our team goes, we've got 18-year-olds on the team. We have Heidi and Ethan, who are both in their 20s. We have Carla, who is closer to my age. She's our other grown-up on the team. And then Savannah, who also just turned 18. So we have quite a bit of youth in the team, but it's interesting because it brings a different energy to an investigation. And I love what it brings to a place when we go. So
I bet it does. And that's the thing, not everybody, I don't know. I've heard so many mixed emotions with people saying that kids shouldn't be on teams and that kids shouldn't be allowed to do this. But you know what? I think it's a parenting. Yay or nay. I don't think everybody has that right to say whether or not they can or not.
They're all 18 and up, so they're adults. Aubrey has been investigating with us since about 14. And she is phenomenal. She's intuitive and she has a lot of connections that are just fascinating. And she goes into places blind and will draw pictures of people that are known people that she shouldn't have visuals of without being there. So, she's very talented and very accurate at what she does. And I would rather her do it in a protected state with me there than to have it in a random, I'm going to do this thing even though my mom told me not to kind of attitude.
Right, exactly. So,
having these young ones on the team, it's kind of a way for them to be able to have the experiences in a sheltered kind of way. So it's good. It's good stuff.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Hi, Facebook user.
Yeah, Facebook user.
Hi, guys. If you can put your name next to your Facebook user, that would be awesome. That we know who you are. Thank you, Living History Mysteries, and you're welcome. And so another thing that I like to ask people is, what has been like your all-time favorite investigation that you've ever been on? Even from like teenage years to adult.
Gosh.
That's a biggie. That's a biggie.
I'm gonna go with April last year. We were in Scotland and we got to investigate with a team from Scotland. We actually went over to visit his family, And we got to go to a very old cemetery in Loudon Kirk and do an investigation there with no knowledge or no anything going on. We had amazing activity. We had cat balls going off on tombstones on command, and we had EMF meters that were being interacted with. And then we had an SD session that was actually quite very accurate. It was a lot of things that fit with stuff that we wouldn't have known otherwise. And this team has gone back and investigated there dozens of more times since then. And it just keeps confirming things. And like some of the things we were getting through Spirit Box, you know, we had the name Agnes. And then the next thing you know, we're in the trees, in graves that are like hidden markers in the trees. And here the tombstone that we find is Agnes. And you know, it was fascinating. It absolutely was the coolest time, and getting to be with some cool people that we normally don't get to investigate with. That's my favorite.
And some of the heatstones there actually go back to like the 1700s.
Wow.
The Kirk itself apparently goes back to the 1400s.
Yeah.
Some say the 1100s, so it's old, you know.
Yeah. And that right there is some definitely right on key evidence right there. That's shocking. Very shocking. I have to apologize because I didn't realize that I was streaming on Minnesota Spirit Hunters as well. So, and they are actually off season at the moment. So I do apologize to the team. They're all laughing about it. It's all right. They're probably laughing at me for apologizing too, but just in case. You know, it's a trial and error with me because I'm not used to doing this on my own. So,
Isn't it Matt that we're supposed to blame for that? That's who
I know. Those two need to get back on here, right? I need to summon both of them back on here. Watch, she'll pop on here in a minute.
We know who caused it, right?
Right. So what are your guys' future plans? Do you have any big investigations coming up?
We actually investigate this Saturday at Granger House, which is local to us here in Marion, Iowa. It is basically a historic house from the 1800s. The Granger family owned it for the majority of its lifetime. It has some very interesting activity. It's not a scary place at all, but it gets a lot of interactions, which is very fun. We were just there last Friday because we have enough people that we kind of split it up. As I was saying, we have like a backup bullpen for our team. We have a young lady who is 13 years old. Her name is Kendra. All she's ever wanted in life is to be a paranormal investigator. So we allow her to tag along with us on some investigations. And last Friday was one that we scheduled specifically for her so that she could get to investigate at Granger without interrupting and us doing like a full-on investigation ourselves. So
that's incredible. I love that.
It's fun. She's such a sweetheart, and she, like, you would not think that a 13-year-old child would come out the doors with like all of the questions, and just being able to interact in a way as quickly as she does with, they say something and then she's like, oh, well, what about this then? And, you know, she adapts so quickly. It's just fascinating to see someone that young being able to work that hard at all of the things she wants to. It's fascinating.
Exactly. Go ahead.
Living Histories, Mysteries. I'm originally from Glasgow. That's where I come from. But it's kind of cool to hear your family comes to Island Doncaster that way.
That's where I want to go.
Aye.
That's the castle. I want to go see it. It's
Glasgow
beautiful.
is where
I would love to go over there. That's one of my biggest things. I used to say like Japan in that area, but I think I really want to go over to like England, Scotland, all that area over there. I think would be fun to go to.
Absolutely should.
Yeah, a lot of history, and I definitely, and I know you're gonna say, wait a second, totally different area, but I want to go back to Norway too, family roots. So
somebody's knocking at our door. He's gonna go grab it real quick.
Okay.
But yeah, we're just. I've got so many places in Scotland I want to investigate. It's like a never-ending list. So I bet. We have a lot over here, but not as many as people would think because so many people are nervous to let people investigate. So it's hard.
On top of that, how do you guys go through like your evidence after you're done with the investigation?
We used to be a little more organized than where we are right now. A lot of the evidence, we have most of the team equipment. Some of our team members have their own equipment. So we do like video review and EVP review here between us for the most part. And the other team members, if they have equipment, they usually review it, and then we share on a drive all of the evidence that we have. We've been doing more experience just learning than we have been evidence collecting, just so that these young kids can get their feet wet and be able to experience all of the things. So we're still teaching them some of the, how to use Audacity for reviewing an EVP, like that. We're still working through some of that with team. So it's interesting. We have a hoard of evidence that's not been officially reviewed, but will be when we get time, which is my hardest part of all of it, but it's there. We'll be able to get back to it. We have it all sorted and organized, ready to go when we're able to hit it. So
that's cool. We have another question here from Living History for you guys. It says, very cool. Thank you, Will. And oh, yes, I know. I'd love to go to Scotland. My branch of the family left in 1754 and has not been back. And I'd love to go and do investigations and search the country.
I used to have a great grand time there, Look at me. I picked up sticks and left and never went back all in the holiday. So there you go.
Yeah. There's a lot to see there, a lot to experience.
Mm-hmm. And there are some great locations there, and I think the cool thing about living in Iowa, I know you asked that question right in the beginning, was one of the good things about living in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
As an immigrant myself here in America, some of the locations here in Iowa compared to some of the locations back in Scotland, they really differ. That's what's cool. You don't get, like Edinburgh Manor, for instance, Kat's a representative there. But you don't get a lot of locations like that back there. But you get the older cemeteries and graveyards like we do in Scotland back here in America. So I kind of like
castles.
The castles as well. Like Edinburgh Castle, for instance, that sits right on top of a hill. You can see it for miles. So it gives a nice little balance. Different interaction, kind of ways to approach it, and I kind of like that challenge.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, guys, it's almost that time for a commercial break. So I'm going to go ahead and give us a commercial, and then we'll be right back with the other half of the Paracrew. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey guys, thank you for coming back to the show. I just wanted to give a shout out to all of our sponsors and our supporters. Thank you for always being there for us. I'm not one to go through a complete storyline for that, so I apologize if that's too short, but that's just the way that it is. We got a few more questions here from the audience for you guys. And oh boy, okay, where did I leave off at?
Living Histories Mysteries is still talking Scotland, so
Yeah.
Well, you think a lot of the Irish kind of went north, so they had like New York and Boston and all that. So a lot of Scots went south. You know, the Appalachians, Carolinas, that kind of thing.
Yes. So living history says I think that's why so many of the Scots that migrated to America in the 1700s and the 1800 centuries settled in the Appalachian Mountains, and I just feel like the history is so much older there.
Yeah, then you have the Scots Irish as well, the Appalachians as well.
Just got another one here. There are houses being lived in still today there that are older than the settlement of America, plus the Roman ruins and the battlefield castles. It's like you have a lifetime of investigations.
Well, that's like back cave. They have a place called the Drover's Inn, which is an inn you can stay at. You know, rent a room, you can get food, watch live music, but it's been ruined since the 1700s.
Wow.
And when you go inside to where the main bar is, the brickwork that's in there is the original brickwork.
it's a beautiful place. We actually stayed in 2012.
And it's got,
no, that was 16.
17. And it's got like stuff there for its original timeline. So you have like suits of armor, you have it was like a unit, like an outfit or something that's in a glass case in the wall that's, you know, for that time period.
Wow. With your group, are any of you guys sensitives?
We don't put the pressure on any of our team to be labeled as anything, but there's a lot of the team that does have intuitive abilities. We basically leave it as, you know, each of us is what we are. And by not labeling, there's not an expectation for them to perform anything. And with them being so young and developing, that's just a really, you know, safe environment for them to be able to grow without having to worry about an expectation of, you know, if you go in and say, oh, this person's a medium, then people have an expectation of them to perform something of mediumship. This person is an empath. Oh, well, what are you getting then? You know,
I totally agree.
People start having an expectation, and I don't, you know, especially with half my team being 26 and under, you know, I don't want them to feel like they have pressure to perform. I'd rather have a true investigation where if they get something, we share it. And if they don't, it's okay, because nobody had any plans for you to have to get anything.
Exactly.
So we do a lot of learning within the team. I do a lot of teaching myself. I do have some skills myself. So, you know, we work on a lot of different things. And then if there's things that I don't have knowledge on, we reach out or find somebody that can help with what we're doing. So it's a pretty good environment.
That's awesome. And that's how it should be. It should not be stressful. And that's what I felt like growing up, we didn't always have that. So I appreciate you doing that for them. That is awesome. In the future, are you going to be doing more investigations with kids, or are you going to have strangers come in on your investigations, or how do you go about that?
So we have done some investigations where we've had guests that come in that are not part of the team. Usually we schedule those out. We don't actually do any events at this point. I feel that my team is a little too new for trying to run events with people that are still learning. We do help at events. We actually have one in September that we helped with last year, and we're helping again with this year at a location called Horridge House in Vinton, Iowa. And so my team does assist at that event. But as far as like actual investigations with children, it's not something that we reach out trying to do, but I wouldn't be against it. I feel like if it's something that somebody is that interested in, I would rather them have the safe place of learning the equipment and experiencing it without the drama that TV makes it be. Because TV makes it be pretty dramatic.
Oh yes, they do. And they actually, outside of the movies, and even with the movies, it makes me upset because they make it look and sound as if it's something totally different. So.
Right. And I know, like, we have done like a presentation at a historical location that's no longer being investigated, but we had investigated and helped out there with some things. And a friend of ours that actually was one of our contacts at that location, she is a Girl Scout troop leader, and we're actually going through evidence. She's doing a little thing with her Girl Scout troop where they're going to learn about like paranormal stuff this weekend. And so I'm digging through our evidence to give her some clips of things to share with the troop to locations that are close enough that if they got interested, they could go to. So that's kind of awesome. Yeah.
With you guys having certain abilities, when you guys go into these older places, how do you guys feel? Do you like have like a weird feeling, or do you guys feel anything at all, or how does that usually take place?
Some of the team does, some of the team doesn't.
See, I don't have any abilities like that. I'm no geared that way, so I also rely on.
So he says.
I rely on also, and also looking at the history of location, So that's my forte. So there is a few times where I felt like, I've been in a certain area, a certain building, wherever location it is, where I'm like, I feel like I'm being watched or followed. But that's probably a natural reaction that anybody has in a location that's also haunted.
Mm-hmm.
Especially by yourself, because also your mind can go into overdrive. But abilities, no. I need to require equipment or, history delving. Then I can use that to see if I can get reactions when I put forth something that's like, hey guys, I heard this, but this building, is this true?
Yep.
And then I'm the opposite. I walk into the building and I kind of do a remote view of a building and kind of get a feel for, okay, I kind of feel like there's energy in this place. I feel like there's energy in this place. Team usually splits to the locations that I recommend. We usually get something. If we're getting nothing, we kind of do a regroup. And those of us that are capable of feeling the building in that way or getting an energy vibe, we kind of just regroup. And okay, what do you think we should do? Where are you getting, anything? Have you felt anything while you're walking through the building? Some of our team gets visual experiences pretty well. Some of our team is literally just okay, I'm getting like all tingly because there's something around. So we have quite the mix. Again, my 18-year-old daughter intuitively connects in to intuitive drawing that is remarkable, and I wish I had one to show you, but I don't have one right now. But she's drawn full people that she gets a vision of them as she's in a space, and then she just starts drawing them. She just did it at Horridge House when we were there a couple weeks ago, and she drew one of the wives that lived in the house, and she didn't know anything about the building, and she was sitting in a room behind a door, and she had just got there, pulled out her notebook, and started drawing. And you start looking at the pictures, and it's a younger version of one of the wives of the house. And there was very prominent. The cheekbones were very clear. The nose was the same shape. It was pretty cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
With that being said, would you consider that basically explaining how and what energy is? Would you say that that's the same?
I guess I didn't quite catch your question.
So a lot of people consider those like different gifts. So when you say that you can sense different energy, how would you describe that?
For me, I just kind of get it's all in my head. I
don't know why you put that.
It's just in here. I don't know. Some of the things come through for me as you're supposed to go here. I literally hear somebody say, you're supposed to go to this place. Sometimes I'll just close my eyes and I'll do a remote view of the building. And as I'm walking through in my head, I either will see a shadow or I will get a I sometimes get vibrations where it's just like a wavy, like I see the vibration of things sometimes. It's really weird to explain that, and I don't normally do that on lives. But hey, here we are.
That's totally okay. We hear you. A lot of us go through the same thing.
But yeah, so it's it comes through sometimes very different. Some places I literally am just like, okay, I can't breathe right here. This is really heavy, and all of a sudden somebody's like sitting on me because it's that heavy in this place.
Wow.
So yeah, it's just each place is different. I can't explain in the same way that this is exactly how it happens every time, because it's not the same by location. I think different spirits and energies present themselves in different ways, and they come across differently.
Exactly. So we have another question here from Living History. She says, I've taken my 14-year-old daughter on a few investigations. She was the calmest head there, but we had Mel. I cannot pronounce that word. Thank you. Come up on the voice box, and my daughter was like, something, I'm 13, nothing worse than that.
I almost think some of the kind of words that they throw at you might be just a reason to get you to go away, Because some spirits like to be just left alone, So they might throw out certain words just to be like, hey, I'm going to say this and I'm going to say that. So you'd be like, oh, I don't want to be here. And then I'll see you leave, right? Because
right.
I eat for that word.
Right.
It might just spirit saying, I just want peace and quiet, going to leave me alone for a bit,
I almost think that's why the most common thing everybody ever captures is get out. Can we just be done?
Right. Well, you got to think about it. They probably haven't seen and really talked to anybody in years, and then all of a sudden we come along asking them questions, and then it's like, get out.
Put a noisy device in their face and ask them to say something, like, well, why are you putting this in my face? Get out,
Right. Sometimes it always catches me off guard when you do have one or two of them just use some of the most foulest language, and you're thinking, huh. And then it also surprises me when people always say that they're from like the 1700s or the 1800s, but what about the ones that are recent? I mean, how do we tell the difference?
We actually have, at the location that I work at, we have a spirit that actually was a post-2000s death. He lived at the location from the age of 17 until 76, so he was there for most of his life. There's articles in the newspaper that say that he existed there, but he didn't die a long time ago, but we get interactions with him there all the time. He's actually one of my favorite people to have come through. It's a gentleman named Jerry, and it is, he's very nice and pleasant and talkative, and we get a lot of things on Spirit Box. I mean, he's literally one of my favorite communications there.
And you think that place was like a big chunk of his life that he spent there. So he knew a lot of the residents that came and went, also staff that would come and went to that location. So it makes sense why he'd be tied to there. Why maybe he wants to come back to visit. Maybe he just, doesn't want to move on because that place meant so much to him, For the ages of 17 to 76, that's a long time in your life to be at one place.
Yeah.
His
only home.
His only home. So, we theorize that's why he hangs around, because it meant so much to him,
Yeah, that's when, like, I don't know. I've lived in a couple places where I've had spirits, and then people have remodeled, and then it's like, sometimes I think if you've got spirits that actually do talk to you, that you should actually ask them, are you okay with me remodel it? Because I've seen, heard, and just many different things, and it's crazy. Suzette Jasmine asks if you guys have ever encountered anything negative.
Yes. At several locations, we've had some. Obviously, Edinburgh Manor is a mix of a lot of things. It was a poor farm that turned into a county care facility that has had lots of different situations coming in and out of that place. So we've had some very negative things there. Malvern Manor has negative stuff, especially in the Shadow Man hallway. They have an entity that claims to be like in charge of the place. He calls himself the One. So that's a fun location that sometimes gets a little, we like to call it spicy. When
Spicy.
patients get a little darker than what we plan on.
Valiska,
Yeah, Valiska Axe Murder House has had some stuff that came through that was also kind of negative. We had some interactions that actually have caused emotional distress to some of our team members at some of these places. We do have, as I said, a few of our intuitives are younger learning intuitives, and so when they get hit with something like that, it's literally a take them out of location and get them reset before we have them go back in when they're having something affect them really severely.
Wow.
Squirrel Cage, we've had some interesting stuff at Squirrel Cage. I've actually been choked at Squirrel Cage where I was trying to talk and literally felt like I had something like holding my neck enough that I couldn't actually speak the answers out at that point. It was during an Estes session, so that was different.
But I think for the biggest part, we've been good, you know.
But yeah, we get a big mix. We little of everything.
So with that question, I'm gonna ask one. What has been your most strangest event? I know I go there.
Strangest. Okay. We were in Vermont one time, and again, room 105. This is what I was talking about the first time I was running the spirit box, and I was talking about how it was raining. I said out loud, "Yeah, it's murky outside," and something said, "We know," in the spirit box. This is another time that me and Kat were there, and same room 105, and Kat was in an SS session, and I was asking the questions. And at one point, I asked a question, and I don't think I got a response for Kat. So I stood up and I walked towards the window, warmed up to have a look outside. And it's really quiet at this point. Kat said nothing, as I'm looking at the window. And just all of a sudden, Kat goes, "Window, see you." Also, if you know an SS session, how the SS session works, blindfold, noise cancellation headphones, spirit box plugged in. I was like, "Wait, what? Who's watching me? Are you out front? Are you behind me? Are you in the hallway? Are you like?" I'm trying to figure out who's watching me. She's like, "I see you," But
Yeah,
that's, like,
I'm sitting there like, "See you."
Also, because the questions we asked up to that point were just like, try to get to, see if there's anybody there, asking, that kind of thing. Then all of a sudden it's like, "Hey, window, see you," and I'm like, "Okay, where are you?"
Well, that's like, we know when we're having an intelligent conversation through an Estes session because they're actually responding to what's in the room in the moment.
Exactly.
And, like the session where we were at Squirrel Cage, and I'm telling on you, William, I'm sorry. we were at Squirrel Cage jail again. I was the one in the headphones doing the SD session, and he said something about, like, I don't know what I had said, and he looked at my son and he goes, "That was creepy." And then the next thing that I go is, "Creepy," and he looks at Kyle with the camera and he's like, because I said exactly what he said. I like repeated him with the same tone and everything, like, "Creepy." But he did the Aaron face. If you're watching Ghost Adventures, and Aaron is always like, "Oh,"
shit factor.
It's strange because you're not directly asking about it,
Yeah, they're just like saying, they're like, it's just so clear that they're paying attention to what you're doing, because he wasn't even the one asking the question at the moment. He just like whispered this thing to our son, and then I'm like, "Creepy," and he's like, "Wait a second, no."
It's like, that's kind of strange because you're not directly talking about
and our
it. Or
disembodied
asking,
voice at 105. We were same room that he was talking about earlier with the window. We were there before people were coming in. I had done a tour at 3:00, and instead of driving home, we just kind of hung out in the middle until the people were checking in at like 7 p.m. And we were in that same room and heard, like, as loud as me, a man go, "Hey," in the hallway.
President always scares the crap out of you.
And it doesn't matter how many years you've done this.
Yeah.
There's a man in the hallway. And I'm like, the doors are locked, right? Because when we're in there, we locked it up. So we went and like I'm sweeping floors to figure out like they're here 2 hours early. Let's figure out where they went. So we're walking the building, checking the doors. There's nobody in there. We already knew there was nobody in there.
Weird.
But, it was so vocal and right there that you couldn't not check to make sure that there was, you had to check that somebody was either there or not there. And we went out the stairways and we went out, there's no cars here. It was just very odd. It was one of those ones that just kind of stands out because, I've had disembodied voices where you're like, oh, I kind of heard like in the distance, the whistling or the, somebody like two men talking at the end of the hallway. No, this was a guy shouting at us like right there.
Oh, I've had times where I'm literally woken out of bed because it feels like somebody's yelling in my ear and like nobody else is up. And I'm like going, no, back to bed. Those always freak me out. Wow, that's incredible. I think I would kind of freak out myself on that a little bit. Hey, Victor.
We've got a lot of highs going on to Andrea and Vicky. And
Vicky says all locations present themselves differently, so you will receive things differently.
Yep, correct.
Living History says, I just subscribed to your channel. Thank you for that. We appreciate you, all of our members. We also have a Facebook page as well. Hello, Andrea. What was that?
If there's anybody else watching, make sure you go subscribe to the Para Crew.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. And to Paranormal Exposures, please. They are awesome. I think that's all I see at the moment. So on top of all of that, I think we went over plans for future history projects for you guys. Are you guys planning on doing more after 2023?
Oh, absolutely. This year we have Granger House this weekend. March we have Canberra House and Farm at the start of March,
which is in Illinois.
And then we have Broadhead Manor, which is in Wisconsin, at the end of March. Yep. And that's a middle school, or used to be a middle school. April is Spirits in the Spring.
Yeah, we have Edinburgh,
and then Spirits in the Spring, which is at Broadhead Manor. It's a big
there's a Paracon that we're going to be at in April.
And then April 20th is, I guess, the biggest location we've ever been to. It's the first time being to it. Sheboygan Asylum in Wisconsin.
Yeah, we're going to Sheboygan this year.
So, speaking of that, that's the biggest location our team has ever been to.
And then we're going to have, I know we have Ashmore Estates in November.
Mm-hmm.
We've got quite a few things in the middle there, but those are the big ones.
Labor Day weekend, back-to-back at Squirrel Cage in Malvern. Walking the Past at Horridge House in September. They have a couple of special guests there that are going to be turning up for this event because there's a couple of teams that are going to be helping out for that as well. But they have Dave Schrader who's going to turn up to that. Josh Herd from Malvern Manor. And then Chad Lindbergh, if you know the actor who did Fast and Furious and that.
Really?
Yeah, so they're going to all be at the end. We're helping out in September.
Chad Lindbergh's a big, massive paranormal fanatic investigator. He's in stuff as well.
That's awesome. I didn't know they were into
that. But there's 3 teams that are going to help out the Walk in the Past event for the Horridge House. We're one of the teams, Lawman Paranormal and Mid-10 Paranormal, that are helping out as well. We did it last year, and it's awesome.
It's awesome.
It's really good.
You get to do locations that aren't public, so that's what makes it really cool. So
that's always awesome. Always awesome.
Some teams switch about to see what kind of different interactions each group and team gets, and it's fun. Yeah,
definitely. So another question before we take off here in a few minutes. So I don't think I've ever heard anybody ask this question before, but how do you guys choose your locations?
I think the location chooses you. Honestly, I think it does. Honestly, okay, so I'm going to be a bit thingy here. Edinburgh Manor is close to where we live. It's about an hour away. So I'm going to say, okay, that's close enough for the base of the team, so we can go there multiple times and investigate, right? I can admit that.
Yeah.
But I feel like that place stuck out for a number of reasons. One, not just being close enough, but for me personally, the name Edinburgh straight away, okay, it's the name of the capital of the city that I come from. And researching the background of this place, it does have the first people that came there were actually the descendants of people who came to the Highland clearances back in the late 1800s.
Yeah.
And as weird as this sounds, there's like little thistles that grow on the side of the road. And in Iowa, they're seen as a weed. But in Scotland, it's a national flower. So I felt like, to me, that place was like, hey, I'll take you in. And I'm like, I'm fine with that.
I will say he was caught outside taking pictures of thistles because he...
I felt like that place, like, every location I go to, I love because it's something different, something icky, and all that. But Edinburgh is always the first place, the first and last I'll always go to, you know. And no, just the fact that it's close by, but it's just there's something that triggers on me that no other place will. And I think a lot of people who watch this show or other people do investigations will have the same thing. They have that one location that touches them more than any other location, you know. And the location is just as good, but there's just that one location that really gets them by the claws and say, hey, you know.
It grabs your soul.
I know that we do a lot of repeat of locations with our team. And part of that for me is because I feel like, you know, having this huge, oh my gosh, I went to the coolest place one time doesn't give you the same interaction as the place knows you. And so we've got several locations that we do every year because the place literally knows us. You know, Edinburgh Manor calls out my name when we're there. Edinburgh Manor only met some of my team last year and it says their names. Even when they're not there, when I'm checking in other people and I'm in the building and my spirit box will be like, where's Ethan? And I'm like, Ethan's at his house in Wisconsin right now. I can't tell you where he's at, you know, but the building asks for them and it's really cool. So
that is cool. I bet you get double the evidence too. Sorry about that, William.
Yeah. A positive mindset, you know, you're going to be very respectful, very pleasant, you know, yes or no, sir, thank you, and all that kind of thing. Of course, the next time you go there, the residents or spirits will want to come and interact with you because you've been pleasant, you've been nice, you know. And I think that's a really important factor for these locations, especially a location like Edinburgh, because some of these people never had family, they never had friends, you know, staff and all the residents, all they had, you know.
Yeah.
Right on. Right on. Hey guys. Hey David. And Vicky asks if you guys are planning on anything in Missouri.
We don't have anything scheduled this year. We do have a couple months that are open if you have anything in mind.
I think the last time we were in Missouri was...
Yeah, last time we did in Missouri was Lent Mansion. We've done that a couple times. But we don't have anything scheduled in Missouri at this moment.
You guys only do like the East Coast? You do the Pacific Coast at all? Or?
Straight in the middle of Iowa. So we are about a 4-hour radius from where we're at in Iowa is what we've been traveling. We have a 6-year-old daughter, so we try to stay close to home since she doesn't do well with us away sometimes. But she eventually will be investigating with us. She's actually done Broadhead Manor with us at 6 years old.
Nice.
She was fascinating to watch. She actually, because it's a very positive location, that there's not anything known to be negative there. And she's putting a tripwire out on stage, watching the EMF lights up, and eating popcorn. And she took a plate of popcorn out to the ghosts, and then she comes back and says, "Mom, how will I know when they're eating it?"
Oh.
You know, she was, and she asked really great questions when we were doing a spirit box session, and she's going to get to do Broadhead again this year. I don't know that we'll do too many other places because I do not want her to have anything negative.
Yeah, I don't blame you there.
But yeah, it's fun.
And if you haven't heard of Broadhead Manor, it's in Wisconsin. It used to be a middle school. The owners are now turning it into a haunted attraction.
Well, it already was a haunted attraction.
But they're upgrading it.
but they've found out they're having a lot of paranormal activity there, so they're doing paranormal investigations in there now. But it's a schoolhouse that was built early 1900s. Part of it was 1800s.
And it's clean energy. There's nothing there that's...
That's very good. A lot
location.
of children energy there.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's awesome. Well, you guys, I have thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm just wondering if you guys would like to do a part 2 sometime with us.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. I hate to close this down because I really have enjoyed talking with you guys. If you guys can hang out in the back real quick, that would be awesome, so that I can keep in touch with you for just a few moments.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Well, that was awesome, you guys. Thank you all for joining us. Yeah, I'm hoping that Matt and Lurker will come back on here sometime soon. They've been working a lot, so if you guys can send them some hearts of appreciation, that would be awesome. Thank you again for joining, and we will see you later.